topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. This is our 13th year with the Ask the Expert show. And with our first expert, we are doing something that we really haven't done before. But this topic, this expert is so important, we decided to make this nationally. So this show will be seen and heard throughout the country. It's a very important show. We were so blessed a couple of years ago to find one of the greatest doctors when it comes to, especially with weight loss. We found a doctor, and it was really kind of crazy because there was two people who wanted this spot on our show, and I guess I could call myself spiritual, but something led me to bring this expert on, this MD, this doctor, and it has been the greatest decision I made with the help above, and we are so blessed to have him. Let me introduce you to Dr. Eldred Taylor of the Taylor Medical Group. Good morning, Dr. Taylor.
Hey, good morning. Thanks so much for the introduction. I appreciate it.
Well deserved. We get more letters from listeners just thanking us for your show. And we always make it the first Wednesday, so it's easy to find. You're on with us the first Wednesday of the month. We started off in Atlanta, then we kind of built that out till Georgia. And now you have one of my few national shows, and it's perfect because you offer so much great information, Dr. Taylor. But we find also like people are finding the show every week, every day. And once they hear your show, they can't wait to hear the next show. So tell people, you have the greatest story. Tell people about how you got into, you're an MD. You went to one of the finest medical schools in the country. Tell people how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, well, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, went to Vanderbilt undergrad and came here to Emory to go to medical school and did a residency in obstetrics and gynecology and practiced routine OBGYN for about 6-7 years. And then my wife was also a physician. We just, as you age, you start to have issues, and women start to have issues with hormones and things. And so my wife was having those issues, and I was doing what I was taught, and I was seeing that it wasn't really helping. So had a patient who came in, told me about natural hormones and progesterone. And I thought that it couldn't make sense because I didn't learn it in medical school. So, how could this be? So anyway, listen to a cassette tape that tells you how long ago it was. And he was talking about hormones and bioidentical hormones, which I really didn't know what that meant. And anyway, but I listened to it, and my whole life changed that day. I listened to that tape, and my wife really had to coerce me into listening to it because I thought I was, I already knew everything. But anyway, it changed the course of my life. I started to understand how to measure hormones. You measure hormones through saliva, not through blood. I started to learn really how the body actually works, and not how drugs affect the body, but how the body functions. And that if you give the body what it needs to function, it will do all kinds of miraculous things for you. So it'll help you maintain your weight. It'll help you to survive cancer. It'll help you to fight off infections. It'll heal things that are broken. But the body has to have what it needs. And if you provide it, man, it functions great. And that's why I call myself a functional medicine doctor. I try to help the patient get what their body needs so that it can function properly.
It's amazing, Dr. Taylor. Your patients have gone to other doctors and have gotten no relief, and then they come to you. That is a story in itself.
Yeah. Well, my favorite patient is the patient who's gone to all the other doctors and they said they don't really find anything wrong. And those doctors are more than likely correct, is that they do not find any disease that the patient has. But I'm not looking for diseases. I'm looking for dysfunction. And that's a whole different ball game. And so, if you do disease testing, that patient may not have a disease. But if you look at function, you can identify and you can treat dysfunction, because dysfunction is the precursor for disease. You have health, you have dysfunction, and then you have disease. So I'm trying to identify the dysfunction so we can return the patient back to health and not wait till they have a disease, when it's much more difficult to get them back to the health starting point.
And from this, you also developed a supplemental company too.
Yeah, well, the reason why we started the supplement company is that when I first started doing this, I would speak for different nutraceuticals. I said pharmaceuticals, I think. Nutraceutical companies, different supplement companies. And what I found is that, they wanted you to sell the B5, the B6, the ashwagandha, everything in a separate bottle. And what happens is that, patients have to take like 10 different supplements. You see them with a handful of supplements trying to choke them down. And most people aren't going to do that long term. So what we discovered is that it's better if you take smaller amounts of several of those, put them together, and the sum is greater than the parts. And so if you put them together, they work together better together than they do separately. It also saves the patient a lot of money. We try to make it where we can help the patient by giving them no more than 2 to 3 supplements, because that's the only thing the patient is really going to do on a consistent basis. So we have combination products that try to create a specific outcome. It's not just a multivitamin. No, it's something to correct cortisol. It's something to correct hormone balance, something to correct liver detoxification problems. So it's directed at a certain system and not just one individual supplement or vitamin.
Well, let's talk about the dreaded cancer.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people pass because of cancer. What are a lot of these? Is there a way, Dr. Taylor, that maybe we can minimize cancer?
Well, cancer is such a difficult subject, and we talk about what causes cancer, what prevents cancer. This is what I can say, is that the healthier your body is, if you do happen to contract, some type of cancer, the healthier you are at the beginning and through the process, the better off you're going to be. Let me tell you why I've gotten interested in this subject. My sister passed away in 2016 from breast cancer. She had a long fight with breast cancer, and I saw her just just deteriorate miserably over the last 4 or 5 years of her life. And I tried to convince her and her family that, why don't we try some things, not necessarily stop the chemo, but to help her get through it. We do a lot of IV vitamin C, and IV vitamin C, it's over 1,500 articles talking about vitamin C and cancer and how it increases the efficacy or the ability of the chemotherapy to actually kill the cancer cells and to protect the normal cells. The vitamin C helps the normal cells to be strong enough to withstand and recover from the chemotherapy. So we do a lot of vitamin C IVs. We have seen patients who had stage 4 triple negative cancer, which is the worst,
Yes.
be able to go through chemotherapy, and the oncologists are amazed at how well they are doing on the chemotherapy and how well the cancer is responding to it. Now, the problem is that a lot of times when the patients say that they're doing IV vitamin C, they kind of disregard that it couldn't be from that. But that's definitely is what's going on. And
sounds too simple.
It's too simple. And my problem is that, and I'm not saying all oncologists are like this, but the oncologists are so focused on killing the cancer, they don't recognize that the patient is deteriorating right before their eyes. But they're so focused on that the cancer gets removed, but they don't see how it's sucking the life out of the patient. And so what we do is we talk about the vitamin C IVs, and we talk about high dose vitamin C, 50 to 100 grams of vitamin C on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis. There's other things that patients can do. I'll tell you what the most important thing a patient can do is to decrease their consumption of meat. That's kind of what got me on this plant-based diet, is that there are several studies that talk about how meat, and especially processed meat, can stimulate cancer cell growth, and that if you take it away, the cancer cells die. So I saw a lot of the patients that came in post-cancer, they immediately went to a plant-based diet. So I started looking at, is there any real validity in that? And again, you can look at plant-based diets and cancer and survival from cancer, and you'll see that that is a real avenue that patients should go down. Because when you're fighting cancer, you have to depend on the doctors and their wisdom, but a lot of it is the patient changing their mindset and their lifestyle. There's another book that I love to tell patients about, is Anti-Cancer: A New Way of Life. And it's a doctor who had a brain tumor, got all of the routine treatments, and the brain it wasn't responding. So he started looking at other ways to treat cancer. And so he started looking at Eastern and Western medicine, all these things. And he started making all of these changes. One was about his diet, decreasing stress, doing all these other things. And he lived for another 25 years. He wrote a book called Anti-Cancer: A New Way of Life. He started traveling all around the world promoting his book, and his cancer came back. You know why? And he says it in a subsequent book that he wrote, is because when he started flying around, promoting his book, stress came back into his life. He had a schedule around all of that stuff, and he attributes that recurrence to how he went against his principles that he had been living by for 25 years, and the cancer came back, and he passed away. So it really is a new way of life. It's something that you have to constantly be on the offensive. And I'll tell you, and I'm excited about this because I've seen it over the last 2 or 3 years that these patients have improved. And I'll tell you another thing that is happening. There's a company called Signatera, and Signatera, what they do is that they, if a patient has cancer, they get the pathology report, look for that specific cancer cell, and you can do blood tests, and they can see if there's fragments of DNA from that cancer in the blood. So any cancer is going to start to shed fragments of their DNA as they continue to grow and whatever. So this is like an early sign of, one, if you had surgery or radiation, did they get it all? Is there no cancer DNA around? And if you are quote unquote cured, or you're done with treatment and you're waiting for that 5 years to say that you're quote unquote cured, you can actually, what they do is you do the test and then you do it 3 months later to make sure is it going up or down, and then you continue to monitor them every 6 months. And if you see that there's fragments of DNA, then it's time to start some type of treatments. Do we start back with the vitamin C? Do we add something else? But it's a great test, and the patients love it because they're not sitting around scared for 5 years, hoping that the cancer doesn't reoccur. And a lot of times, 5 years later, it doesn't recur in a small amount. It's, it ends up, it's been spread in the brain and the bone and all that. So this gives give us some heads up that, hey, things may be starting to stir up again. So all of that is helpful in, the treatment and the monitoring of cancer patients. And I think it helps decrease their stress when they know that there's active monitoring going on and they're not sitting around biting their nails,
Right.
for years, hoping that everything is okay.
What about people who have a history of family members with cancer?
Yeah.
What can they do on an early stage? Because I know I think about that because I had my mother and father both passed from cancer. And what is there anything people can do prevent it?
There's another test called Gallery, Gallari, Gallery, and it looks for signs for like 50 different cancers. That's another test. And if you go to gallery.com, or we have it here, it looks for early signs of 50 types of cancers. Wow. So that's one thing you can do. And if you have a strong family history of a certain type of cancer, this test, that Signatera, they have another test called Empower, which it looks for genetic signs of cancers of your family history. So it's just like, you're saying now, everybody's afraid of this, and they don't want, that meeting with the doctor in the office and, everybody's looking, sheepish and saying, hey, you've got cancer. That's everybody's nightmare. So yes, if you can find these signs early, it's a lot easier to treat, whether it's chemo, whatever it is, because just the pure, whenever you see someone with a cancer, a lot of times they want to remove the cancer, the biggest part of the cancer, before they start the chemo, because the less cancer cells you have to deal with, the better the treatment is going to be. And the more, the healthier your immune system is, the better your cancer prevention chances are going to be, because your immune system is your primary defense against cancer. There's things called natural killer cells that come out when you sleep to make sure that it's like a surveillance camera that's looking for signs of cancer cells, and they kill it. It's called a natural killer cell. And that's why sleep is so important, because if you don't sleep well, your risk of cancer goes up, because you don't you don't give the natural killer cells enough time to go and survey for cancers, so your your risk of cancer can go up just from not having good restful sleep. So so all of those things are involved in what your cancer risks are and what you can do to try and decrease those.
And I know, Dr. Taylor, you put a lot of emphasis on stress, whether it's now we're talking cancer, we're talking weight loss. When I was younger, I would say 20 to about 50, this 30 years, I really took care of my body. And I'm talking supplements, I'm talking about diet and exercise. And I hear so many times people passing away in their early 60s, early 70s, and I almost feel guilty. It's like, is that the reason why that maybe I have stayed healthier than other people in my age group because of how I took care of myself earlier in life?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I tell people, hey, look, you can wear your body out in 20, 30 years if you abuse it. If you
Yes.
drugs, don't eat right, gain, you're walking around 400 or 500 pounds. Yeah, you've abused your body. You're abusing your cardiovascular system, making it have to go to 400 pounds of, of tissue or whatever. And
Right.
I say your body can only take so much, and you have to refill, you have to refuel. So now a lot of people, like you said, what they do, they've abused their body for 20, 30 years, and now they're 50, 60, 70, and everything starts to break down because they didn't do maintenance. This is like, your car. If you don't do maintenance on a periodic basis, it is going to break down on you. So if you are doing maintenance by making sure you're eating correctly, by making sure that you're moving, you're exercising, you're actually putting your body to work, that you're sleeping and that you're eating, appropriately. So all of those things are important, uh, for any kind of stress type issue.
Dr. Taylor, I'm going to tell people you really walk the walk. I mean, I know you had to give up a very lucrative area of medicine, giving up your OB-GYN practice. I mean, I know you work long hours, late hours, but it's a very lucrative area, and you gave that up to practice an area of medicine that was still new. But you actually, your lifestyle, the way you and your wife exercise and eat, and even growing your own food. I mean, you really walk the walk.
Yeah, well, I had to. You're right. I did OBGYN and I was working long hours. And I was also at that time promoting our books, and I was traveling, I was speaking, I was raising, trying to help raise a family. And I was like, I can't do this. This is going to kill me. And so that was kind of my impetus, that I can't do this for another 20 years. It is definitely going to kill me. And so we just kind of reinvented ourselves. My wife had a psychiatry practice, and that was, very challenging after we had our second child. So we were like, okay,
Yes.
we've got children to raise. We've got to take care of ourselves. So we started down this journey. Initially, it was about understanding hormones, and then it was about understanding the gut, understanding the brain and how that works, then understanding cancer, and then so on and so forth. And I'll tell you, medicine is so regimented, and it's kind of it's almost cult-like, is that you have to think a certain way, and you cannot look to the left or right. And so what's so great about functional medicine is that it's ever expanding. I mean, you're ever, there's always something new and exciting to learn. And it's not, we've done it like this for 15 years and we're going to keep doing it like that. Uh, Functional medicine is open. It's trying to find new ways and trying to understand, not only new ways, just understanding the body better so that you can help it function better. And it's very exciting. I think that's what keeps me going. You got to have something that makes you want to get out of bed in the morning. And
Yes.
yeah, when I was doing OB and they called me at 2 or 3 in the morning, I didn't want to get out of bed. But, but this makes me want to get out of bed and go see what I can do to help these patients who, a lot of them feel like they're at the end of the road.
Yes.
I'll tell you, just one of my patients yesterday who got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in 2020, and they told her, get your affairs in order. You got stage 4 cancer, it's metastatic. Prepare. So this is 2020. She came in yesterday. She comes in for like vitamin C like once a month. And we did that Signatera test on her, and it was negative. It shows there's no cancer DNA anywhere. So that
Wow.
allows me to tell her, hey, look, you need to go to your oncologist and say, they don't need to be giving you some strong drug to kill a cancer that's not there. Now, I'm not saying, you have to stop what you're doing. But it's just saying, hey, we don't have to be so aggressive right now. It's no cancer cells there, but we'll monitor you every 3 to 6 months. And if we see any sign, then, maybe we'll start back, so now I'm in a kind of a battle, not a battle, but I want to try and convince this oncologist that we don't have to be so aggressive with her. She's doing great. But this is a lady, this is almost 5 years later, who they told her to get her affairs in order. And now there's no sign of any cancer anywhere. And that doctor he's so amazed that she's doing so well. And he said, I don't know what you're doing, but you just need to keep doing it. And
is she doing the vitamin C, Dr. Taylor?
Yeah, she was doing it more often. Now she just comes in every, 1 or 2 times a month, or once every month or two. And as long as that Signatera test is negative, we don't have to go crazy and give her vitamin C every week. So it allows me to adjust what I'm doing for her, and also to help her with her pocketbook, so that she's not spending so much money trying to fight something that's not even there. And it gives her reassurance that she can go on with her life. She's actually a school teacher, been a school teacher for 28 years. And it allows her to freely live her life without having this constant worry about what's going on.
Dr. Taylor, I can't believe the time always goes by so fast. We're so lucky to have you. You're on the first Wednesday of each month at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Let's give everybody your phone number and how they can reach your office.
Yeah, well, probably the best way to reach the office is is on the website. Is info@taylormedicalgroup.net. You can book an appointment there. There's all types of information, educational information there for you. And then if you do want to call, it's 678-443-4000. But if this is going nationally, trying to figure out what time zone, we're in the Eastern time zone. If you go to our website, also you can email us there at info@taylormedicalgroup.net. But really with this, since this is a national show, I want, anybody anywhere to know that there are, I won't say alternatives, but there are additional things you can do along with whatever your conventional therapy choice is for any type of cancer. And just patients need to be educated on what they can do to help themselves.
And you also do telemedicine too.
Yeah. We can do consultations through telemedicine. The COVID kind of loosened up those rules about crossing state lines. So as long as that's, still viable, we can do that also. Yeah.
Beautiful. Dr. Taylor, thank you so much. We'll see you again next month on Ask the Experts.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. Great. Great being with you. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dr. Taylor. He is amazing. I mean, if your doctor, if you feel in your body there's something's not right and your doctor's saying you're okay, I am telling you, give Dr. Eldred Taylor, he's in the Atlanta, Georgia area, give his office a call. And he's actually treated a friend of mine that has, through telemedicine, that he has helped immensely. Amazing. So we're going to go have our next show coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests. Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.